Welcome to the Fairlawn Chamber of Commerce Business Spotlight, where we introduce local businesses to the community and the world at large through social media. My name is Alan Cohen. Today, we have a very nice guest for you. Her name is Erika Piccirillo. She's an attorney at the Cohn Lifland, Pearlman, Herrmann, and Knopf LLP, counselors at law, and they're in Saddlebrook. I'd like to introduce Erika to you. Hi, Erika. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, Alan. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you coming on and telling us a little bit about the company. So I understand that they're in Saddlebrook. The company is based in Saddlebrook, but you are a member here of the Fairlawn Chamber of Commerce. Could you tell us a little bit about the company, please?
Absolutely. So Cohn Lifland, Pearlman, Herrmann, and Knopf. We are known as Cohn Lifland, so you don't have to repeat all 5 names every time. We are a law firm that was founded in 1924 in Paterson, New Jersey by David Cohn. And his goal was to provide great legal services for everyday people and small businesses in the area. Over the last 97 years, we're nearing 100 years now, we have grown, and we are now 25 attorneys strong, just outside of Fairlawn, as you mentioned, in Saddlebrook, with our members practicing in a variety of different practice areas. We are a general litigation firm, and that our firm can cast a wide net over a variety of areas for the businesses and individuals that we represent. But as individual attorneys, we are generally dedicated to 1 or 2 specific practice areas that allow us to focus on that person's specific needs. So if along the way we realize that there are other legal issues in another area, we can simply walk up the hall to get someone else's expertise in that field.
Great. Yeah, that's the way it works. So you could start with a general practitioner for many different reasons. And then obviously, as you get specific into something, then you would hook them up with somebody that's more expertise in that area. Correct?
Well, generally, when somebody comes to us, they have one specific need in mind. So, for example, somebody might come to us because they are seeking help on a family law matter. It might be a divorce. It might be a custody dispute. And then along the way, they might realize, I could also really use a will. Or there's an actual real estate aspect to the equitable distribution. And we have a question on how we should handle the sale of the marital residence or the sale of a particular business asset. And we can walk up the hall and ask somebody in that particular field, and particularly in the real estate arena in this example, for some advice on how to move forward.
Yes, that's wonderful. So it does look here, if you look at the site for individuals, you work with many different areas, as you just mentioned. And your expertise would be what then?
My particular expertise at this point in time is in family law. When I joined the firm several years ago, it's been about 7 years now, I dabbled in a bunch of different areas around the firm to kind of find my niche. And at this point in time, I'm practicing in the family law group. I'm excited to say that I was just named to the 2021 Rising Stars in family law. So that's my particular practice area. And in that, I generally focus on the individuals.
Great. So we'll talk about that in just a minute, but I'd like to know how many people or how many attorneys are actually in the firm?
I think right now we're 25 strong.
So is that considered mid-size or a large firm? What is that considered?
Sure, I consider us a mid-sized firm. We're certainly not one of those 100-person or 1,000 people strong in a variety of different areas around the state. We are focused specifically in northern New Jersey, and I consider us to be a mid-sized firm for that.
Right. And are the founders, is Cohn Lifland, are they still practicing attorneys?
So being founded 97 years ago, the original founders are no longer practicing attorneys, but we do have Joshua Cohn. He is the grandson of David Cohn and the son of Albert Cohn, who was also with the firm for many, many years. Lifland is no longer with us. I believe he was only a founder of the firm and with the firm for a few years, but We still have Peter Pearlman, who I believe just reached 50 years of practicing law, which is a huge congratulations to him. We still have Jeffrey Herrmann, who is actually cousin to Stu Herrmann and is the president of the Fair Lawn Chamber of Commerce currently. And we still have Erika Knopf as well.
Right. That's great. So it is in that way a family practice that it did start with these, you said David Cohn, and now his grandson is actually working there. So in that respect, it is a family business that really expanded quite commendable, to 25 attorneys at this time.
Absolutely. And I like to think of us as a very family-oriented law firm. We support each other, not just in our business, but in our family lives as well. We're always here to support one another, which is a great place to be. It's a great environment as an employee.
That's terrific. And you've been with them, you said 9 years at this point.
Approximately 7 now.
Oh, 7. I'm sorry. Great. And so what are some of the other areas that they work in? I mean, we talked about business. So if they're in the business, they also work on bankruptcies, transactions, commercial litigation. So to have litigators at the firm is very important, because a lot of smaller companies might have a terrific attorney, but then you really need somebody if you're going to go into litigation, which could be quite costly for the client.
Absolutely. If you're going to go into litigation, it can be quite costly for a client in any practice area. But we have a number of practice areas. I can go through them. I'm particularly proud of our family law group because I'm a member of that. But we do also have a real estate practice area. Alan Susser and Mercedes Diego handle the firm's real estate practice, again, for both individuals and for businesses. They recognize, and we all have to recognize, that real estate can be the biggest investment that somebody makes. And so you really want somebody there in your corner protecting you if you're going to be making that investment. And so right now, particularly in Bergen County, you have people moving out of the city as a result of the pandemic, moving out of those more crowded areas to Fair Lawn, Saddlebrook, Bergen County, even as far west as Sussex County, where I actually live and am currently sitting. And so they're great for protecting that investment. We also do, like you said, have bankruptcy. On the flip side, some people aren't looking to buy, they're looking to figure out their financial situation as a result of the pandemic. So Jeffrey Herrmann and Alex Pizareski are great at guiding people through whether bankruptcy is right for them and whether that's something they need to consider. As a result of the pandemic, you also have a lot of employment law issues. You have a lot of people being furloughed. You have a lot of companies trying to figure out how they can survive. Charles Cohen leads our employment law practice. We represent employees who may have been underpaid, weren't paid the right wage, who may be misclassified as independent contractors rather than employees. But we also represent the businesses in that. And that if somebody leaves with proprietary information or breaks a non-compete agreement, we will represent the businesses in that. We have criminal defense attorneys, Joe Maurice, and again, Joshua Cohn, who I mentioned earlier, practice in that area. We are very, very lucky to have Joe Maurice, who is the current president of the Bergen County Bar Association, which is absolutely fantastic. He's been doing a wonderful job. And they're there to protect you because criminal matters can really affect your livelihood just the same as employment can. We also have personal injury. Richard Schnall and Barry Knopf head up that department. We have medical malpractice. We have Lee and Jordan Goldsmith, father-son duo, who are of counsel for that. And Lee Goldsmith is actually also a doctor. So he's wonderful when you're looking at that intersection of medicine and law. And those are just a few of the areas we practice in. We have a number of practices, and I know you said we're looking at our website. We are in the process of rebranding and getting a new website, and that should be up in the next few months or so. We're hopeful to have it up by 2021, but as you know, 2020 happened. So hopefully the first quarter of 2021, you will see a new website for us. And our website is www.njlawfirm.com.
Wow, that was good. That was a great. I mean, there's a couple of areas that I'm very interested in. I mean, all of them, but you mentioned real estate. So I know that's not your particular area. We'll talk about you a little bit more down the line. But uh, are you finding? Because we're finding as a managing director and co-owner of Living Great Real Estate, we're getting a lot of people moving out of the city because of what's going there. So they are coming to New Jersey. They're coming to the Bergen County area and also down the coast, down to the shore. And then people are moving also to areas like the Carolinas, Florida, Texas. So there's so much moving out of the city. So when they come to the city, is that when they're coming to you? I mean, when they come to Bergen County, is that when they're coming to you to help them close deals and stuff here as a real estate attorney?
Well, I think our real estate practice sees a lot of things, but certainly when right now, just because the market is so hot in various areas of New Jersey, you're seeing a lot of those buyers or sellers coming to us to say, hey, can you look at this contract? Can you protect me? You might have inspections that are going through and you might say, hey, we uncovered something during an inspection. Can you help us work this out on the back end? So that way we can close because we do want to get out of the city. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of people moving, not just in real estate, but again, in family law matters, a lot of people, you're separating households and somebody needs to go somewhere else and where can they afford, particularly right now if the market is hot and there are bidding wars.
Yeah, they certainly are. And a lot of people have taken on also the homeowners here have taken on these forbearance protection from the banks. And we're noticing quite a few of them. Then they go bankrupt after that because they push the money back, or it might go back 3 months or 4 months. And then they have to come up with a lot of it at first.
A large lump sum.
Right, which is crazy. I think a lot of the homeowners are not really understanding the full depth of taking a forbearance and letting it go. And then they do get into the other trouble and might be, foreclosing where they need an attorney really now to protect them and see what they could still end up with before they're bankrupt. And bankruptcy is not great on the credit, as everybody knows.
Absolutely. And then on the flip side, though, you do have people who, may have been lucky enough to keep their employment, not have furlough, and then they weren't going out to dinners, they weren't doing these things. And now they have big construction projects going on. To that end, we have Andrew Macklin in our office, and he handles construction litigation matters. So if you've hired somebody with all that money that you weren't going out to dinner, you weren't going to Disney World, you weren't taking those vacations, you put it into something, and then your contractor suddenly doesn't show up, and you have a claim against your general contractor or their subcontractors, we do have Andrew Macklin in our firm to help with that as well.
Terrific. The other areas you mentioned, of course, employment. So a lot of people are getting into, trouble with the employers. People are being fired and laid off. Most, I guess, would be legitimate, but I'm sure there's plenty that's going on where companies just have to cut. How is that being taken care of these days?
Well, certainly. I mean, New Jersey is an at-will employment state. So unless an employer has acted unlawfully in the termination, a lot of the times there's not much that can be done. However, sometimes people are let go and we can help negotiate some sort of settlement package, some sort of severance package in order to avoid litigation and to make sure that everybody leaves on good terms. But then you do have your unlawful terminations. You do have discrimination. We've been seeing a lot of that on the forefront in the media. And certainly I don't want to get into any politics on this, but that sort of stuff does happen. You do see gender discrimination. You do see age discrimination. You see racial discrimination, and we can help with that as well. And Charles Cohen, who leads up our employment law practice, is wonderful.
Great. Another area that you mentioned was the personal injury, and it's wonderful that one of the attorneys is actually practicing. Is he still practicing in medicine?
No, he doesn't currently practice in medicine. He focuses now on law and the intersection of medicine and law, specifically handling these medical malpractice cases, some nursing home litigation cases. And in fact, one of his paralegals is on the front line still. So she still does practice, and she has been on the front lines during COVID, and we're very thankful to have her. And I'm happy to report that she is healthy.
So I would imagine that gives them really firsthand experience. A lot of times you have a litigator and they're seeing it, or from the attorney's point of view, where he's actually in there and understands the medical conditions that are going on with these personal injuries. So I think that's a super bonus to have an attorney like that.
I agree.
Yeah, great. All right, let's get a little bit more into your expertise, which is family law. And is there a certain area in law, or is that really the general topic itself, or area of practice?
Sure. Well, family law is sort of a general topic, but within that you get bits and pieces of everything. So family law can cover just matrimonial matters that could be divorce, but within divorce, you're going to have financial support issues. You're going to have spousal support. Is that an issue? You're going to have child support. Do the parties have children? If they had children, you're also going to be handling custody. Is it going to be joint legal custody? Is it going to be sole legal custody? Parenting time. How are we going to divvy this up? We're going to have two different households. And because we're going to have two different households, how are we going to handle the equitable distribution? Who's taking the couch? And it's not just the couch. You have 401ks. You have, again, talking real estate. You have the house. You have some people are collectors of various different items, and it can be very interesting. You might have somebody who collects specific memorabilia that you're going to have value. People own businesses. And so you might have to have those businesses evaluated to figure out how that's going to be divvied up. And is it going to be included towards spousal support or equitable distribution? So they're very, very interesting areas within family law, and we handle all of them. And we also are very lucky to have Marianne Stokes. She is a wonderful mediator. She's been in it for a long time, and this is not an exaggeration when I say that she has mediated thousands of cases. And right now, in particular, because of the pandemic and courts shutting down and becoming delayed, people have been looking for alternative dispute resolution processes, and mediation has been really booming because people are looking to seek a resolution. They don't want a divorce to drag on for years. Courts don't want divorces to drag on for years. So she's been wonderful to have. And we are looking to expand a little bit in the mediation department. We have some others within our firm who are doing it. I think we have somebody else joining us, and that's an announcement to come in the future. I don't think I'm at liberty to discuss it yet. But we have a variety of issues in every case. We really try to strategize and tailor it because there's no one size fits all in family divorce matters. I mean, you have somebody who clearly got married, thinking of the Valentine's Day holiday coming up, and as Forrest Gump said, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. A lot of people get married. They got something that they didn't expect that they were going to get. They are looking for a way to rectify the situation, to move on with their lives, to just generally be happier, and probably move on because it's in the best interest of their children in those cases. So, our team for family law, our family law team is about 8 strong. We have Marianne Stokes, who practices and is dedicated solely to mediation. I'm a member of the group. And we have Amanda Trigg, Jerry Squire, Julie Kem, Joshua Cohn, Christina Strip, and Jackie Larson also just joined us, and she's wonderful.
Terrific. Just on mediation, obviously mediations are not binding, correct?
No. That's correct. Mediations are not binding, which is great because you have people coming in, they want to see and hear both sides. They want to know what the strengths and weaknesses of their case are. And that's one of the great things about mediation and about Marianne Stokes in particular. She comes in with a very realistic approach. But that said, it's not binding. So if you don't like what the mediator has to say, you are under no obligation to move forward with whatever her recommendation might have been, or what any mediator's recommendation might have been, and you can still go to litigation. Now, it's different from arbitration in that way. We do have people within our firm who can act as arbitrators, and arbitration is binding. So it's not in front of, it's not in court, it's not in front of a judge, but the arbitration does end up being binding. And that's also an option out there, just depending on the people who are coming in.
Do they usually go to arbitration then after mediation? They may go to mediation first and get a general opinion of it. And I think from my past experiences, usually when you go to a mediator, they know so much about everything, even though they're, you're litigating, not litigating, but you're in conflict or whatever it is for months and months. And in 15 minutes, this person is analyzing your case and giving you their expertise on it. So do most people accept the mediation, or it could be either or?
I think it really depends on the person,
yeah.
Right? I think it depends on the person. A lot of the times, in particular in family law mediations, because that's what we've been discussing, you have people who are generally hurt. They're emotional, and it just really depends on whether they're ready.
Right. The personal aspect, right, because this person is seen as black and white. Well, this happened, that happened, this happened, you have this money, you have that money, you came, all that's black and white, where the person behind, on the person in that they're so wrapped up in, their personal feelings. That could be very tough. So I would imagine. So how do you do work in that area? Do you, you're representing one side, obviously, compared to the other, but I'm sure you have to think of the whole picture and what's fair in the whole thing to make a mediation or make your practice with that client successful and quickly.
Of course. I mean, the first thing we do is we try to sit down with our client, understand the issues of their case, and come up with a personalized approach, right? There's really no one size fits all. I really like to sit down with them, understand their needs, their wants, and then I do try to be realistic with them. I try to talk to them about what New Jersey law is in the areas that they're concerned about. And I try to understand the whole picture, but understand what's most important to them moving forward. I do try to be realistic with them, but I also am here to be an advocate for them. And so if they have a particular position that they feel very strongly about, I'm going to likely take that position for them unless I find it to be unreasonable for some reason, which is not too often.
Yeah. So, do you ever drop clients because they're not reasonable, or you can't really make them see the light of it, because you do have to be objective, but yet, personalized with them, and they may not see the light as your advice to them?
I have been lucky enough to not do that.
Not do that. Well, you have a great passion for it. So let's hear a little bit about yourself. What got you into family law, and how long have you been practicing? You said 7 years altogether?
Sure. I've been practicing for 7 years. So I think growing up, I like everyone, went through a phase of, do I want to be this or that? I know my parents can say when I was in 4th grade, I wanted to be a tornado chaser. Who knows? I liked Helen Hunt. I liked the movie Twister a lot. Then I wanted to be an anesthesiologist, just because I liked the way that the word anesthesiologist sounded, right? But over time, I tailored it, and I really just wanted to be able to help people. And I realized that getting into the legal system would be the best way to do that. So I went to the University of Pittsburgh. I was a political science major. From there, I went to the University of Illinois, where I graduated from the College of Law. The University of Illinois College of Law is located in Champaign, Illinois, but we also began the Chicago program when I was there. So I was very, very lucky that in my 3rd year of law school, I was back and forth between Chicago and Champaign. I was only in Champaign a couple days a week. And in Chicago, we weren't learning from professors so much as actual practitioners who were experts in their field in Chicago. And that also gave me the opportunity to work for a law firm in Chicago. I was practicing nursing home negligence at the time. And it was just great to really have my hands in a practice area, even if it's not the one that I ultimately went into, while I was still in law school, because just learning how to talk to your client, learning how to talk to witnesses, learning how to do depositions, all of that is always extremely helpful. And doing that during law school was great for me. And then when I was in law school, I am happily married. My husband and I decided we wanted to move back to the East Coast. He was born in Princeton, New Jersey. And so we started looking in New Jersey, and Peter Pearlman went to the University of Illinois for undergraduate school, for his undergraduate degree. So I reached out to him and I said, look, I was given your contact information by some of the alumni. I'd love to sit down and have a chat with you, and the rest is history. I came on as a summer associate and was extremely lucky to be hired thereafter full time.
That's a great story. And I noticed that you do have quite a bit of accolades and awards that you have won. Could you tell us about some of those?
Well, the firm in general has many, many awards and accolades. I recently was just named to Bergen Magazine's top lawyers in the area of labor and employment law, but I believe it's being announced that I am one of the rising stars in family law for 2021. I'm extremely proud of that. And then, while in law school, I seems ages ago, but I won best for oral argument, best for brief, best overall, and a number of moot courts as well.
That's fantastic. So those awards, how did they, you said they gave it to you. Which paper was that again? The
Bergen Magazine.
Right, the Bergen Magazine, which is a wonderful publication. How do they pick you? What rates you to them?
My understanding of top lawyers and a lot of these is that you have to be nominated by a colleague or a peer, and then from there there's a voting process, and only the top 3% or something like that get nominated for these and get an award in that. So I think most recently in the Bergen County Magazine, at least 22 of our 25 attorneys were named, which is something that we're extremely proud of.
That's great. So you are in family law. Do you have any other aspirations in law to switch, or you feel like you might stay in this area quite a while?
I really like this area a lot. I think family law, you need to really begin focusing on it if that's the route that you're going to take, which is what I've started to do and what most people on our family group have done. We really focus on that because clients are in an extremely difficult season of their lives. And so you really need to be available for them when they need you. And so it's important to focus on that area. And so I foresee myself staying in this area.
That's great. You have a great passion for it. It sounds like a really wonderful company that you're working with. And, it's just wonderful that it is a family business that really expanded and are winning these awards. So it is a company here in Saddlebrook, Fair Lawn, from the chamber that you can trust. And just meeting you, it's a personalized experience for somebody in law, which, like you said, could be very troubling for the client itself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's terrific. Well, I like to thank you very much for your time. It's been wonderful. It sounds, once again, like a great company. Everyone should check them out if you need help. And if you'd like to give us a little closing statement, has it really affected? Obviously, you're not in your office today.
I'm not.
So do you do most of your work because of COVID, obviously, via the internet also?
Well, we are located in Saddlebrook in a rather large building. We're right off of the Garden State Parkway and Route 80, which is extremely great for our clients because they can be coming from any direction and easily find us. But we are very cognizant of the pandemic, and we want to make sure that not everybody is in the office at once, because we do have 25 people, which also means that we have a number of staff, and we're trying to protect not only our employees but our clients. And so we switch in and out. And most of us are in the office 1 or 2 days a week at this point. But we are lucky to have virtual capabilities, and we're all in touch all the time. Many of our practice areas have Zoom calls just to check in. How are your cases going? Be a sounding board with one another. So I am at home today, but we are in the office, and we are working in the office and remotely right now.
As you mentioned to me earlier before we went on, you cannot take a snow day.
No, there's no such thing as a snow day anymore. Not only for our children, who are expected to work virtually as they look at the snow coming down, but also for us.
Right. All right. So I'm glad you took a little bit of a break to chat with us today. So I'd like to say, Erika Piccirillo, it's been wonderful speaking to you. It's a wonderful company that you're with, a wonderful firm, Cohn Lifland, Pearlman, Herrmann, and Knopf. They've been around for over 90 years. If you need legal advice or whatever you need in the legal field, please look them up, and look up Erika in particular. So I want to thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks so much, Alan.
Thank you. So this has been the Fair Lawn Chamber of Commerce Business Spotlight. My name is Alan Cohen. It's been a pleasure chatting with Erika today, and I'd like to thank everyone, and be safe and be well. Thank you.